Hello and welcome to the next video of my off-season, I don't know, series, I guess. I really don't have a playlist for it. We've went over the jeez Louise, LPL, LEC, and LCS, finishing up with the LCK. So if you want to watch the videos similar to this format in those regions, they're on my channel. They've been up the last week. Yesterday, I went over the LCK and who was under contract beyond November 22nd, looking at what the team's depth charts look like without these names included in it, because these players are the ones that are free agents officially, or they've been allowed to leave and seek other options. So we're going to go over that. I have them ranked in my opinion. And yeah, so top lane, we have Rascal, Keen, Nuguri, and Kingen. Then Doran, Kana, Morgan, Birdall, and Sword. So that means what? We have 9 players there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And right now there are 2 outright openings. That means there are 2 teams in the LCK without a top laner signed to Academy or the LCK. I mean, not Academy, sorry, because Academy actually is the 3rd tier in the LCK. LCK and Challenger level, they have no top laner at all. So there are 2 teams without anything in top lane. And then there could be up to 7 teams that I believe could be looking for a top laner. In my opinion, Rascal and Keen are some of the best in the world. Keen may have dropped out of that top 5. I'm still debating on how I want to do that. I'm letting Worlds really be pushed out of my mind and not, cloud my judgment too much on who I think the best players in the world are right now, or my favorite players. But Rascal, in my opinion, still a top 5 top laner. I think that KT could have went on a run like DRX, possibly. Rascal in a similar way that Zeka did. Rascal is very, very talented in a solo lane. Keen, a little bit older, is a free agent. I doubt he leaves the Freaks, but it is possible. Nuguri, allowed to leave from Damwon Kia yesterday along with Birdall. It depends on what you want. Nuguri, former world champions, been around the block. Did not like his Worlds performance. If you missed my roundup yesterday, I went over his stats a little bit. And Birdall, a very young player towards the bottom of this list. I could see him getting a shot on maybe one of the teams that don't have a ton of money. They're trying to build a budget roster. Give him a look. Give him an opportunity to make a name for himself. Kingen and Doran, I have at 4th and 5th. So going into Worlds, I had Doran pretty high because I thought in a weak side meta he could thrive. Well, the meta shifted and it went towards top lane and he was exposed. I don't think Doran can be a carry. I think he can play a role similar to what Kingen did, but he just simply didn't do it. Right? I'm not a big Doran fan, so I think Doran's limited in what he can provide for a team, and that limits the whole rest of the team. Paired with a strong mid laner, a la the way Gen G played, was the best situation for him. Kingen, I have him below Nuguri, even though they both had polar opposites in terms of Worlds. Kingen obviously coming down the stretch playing extremely well, so a lot of people might be surprised why I have him that low. I need to see it more than just a month in a meta, right? I need to see if you are meta resistant and you can play in any situation. Kana, he carried at times. I liked what he did once in a while. Morgan and Sword swapped spots with Fred at Brion a bit, and Fred at Brion was a disaster, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of either player, really. A lot of people like Morgan for what he did, I think, with HLE, but not really sold on him too much. And Sword is, I think Sword may not even be LCK worthy anymore. In the jungle, I have 6 players here. Right now, there's 1 team without a jungler outright, and there are up to 5 teams where I could see a jungler having value. Just 1 second. As I was saying, there are 5 teams that I think could have an opening or at least have a competition. Peanut, I have above Pioshik, similar to the Kingen and Nuguri situation. Peanut was exposed at times during Worlds. I think a lot of people don't like hearing that, but the fact is, I think that he is limited. But he is a veteran. He's been around the block. He can do anything. So he's limited, but I think his champion pool is limited within each meta. It's not like super deep. And I just Pyosik struggled so much in the finals against T1. Like, he won despite himself. Like, Pyosik, I mean, I was not a huge fan of Pyosik. I think, honestly, the jungle role in the LCK is the weakest going in free agency. Because Peanut, I mean, yes, he had problems, but I think Peanut can be a facilitator, make things happen, sort of jungler that I like. If you're going to do, you're either going to farm and carry, or you're going to make things happen so other people can carry. Peanut is on this end of the spectrum. He's not going to carry for you, but he is going to put other people in position to carry. Pyosik is supposed to be the guy that can carry, not so much a guy that can facilitate at Worlds. I knew going into those finals that he clearly was lazy on his smites. He was frivolous with them and got caught out 3 separate times, or maybe even 4, by Guma in the finals. Like, the fact is, he has issues. We saw that, GRX, even, I mean, they benched him for a little while, even at Worlds for Juhan. And honestly, they still have Juhan under contract. Are they going to keep Pyosik? I would like to think DRX stick together, but we'll see. Dread, a carry-oriented jungler. I do not think he can really do the other end of the game at all. With Nongshim, there were some games where he was the only one doing work. In the right situation, he probably could do that again. Elam, I wasn't massively impressed with on Kwangdong. On Fleek and Umpty, both, on HLE and Fred Brion, respectively. I could see them kicking around on those poor teams again, or they could go to Japan, the PCS, even, you're looking at even Latin America, smaller regions, and just dominating there and, punching a world's ticket that way. Mid lane, we have two jobs open outright, up to 4. Faker is considered a free agent. He is not under contract right now. Well, not right now, but at the end of the month. I assume he's going to be re-signed to T1. There's some speculation, and some people think that he might not re-sign. I find that extremely hard to believe. I find that extremely hard to believe. It could happen, but I wouldn't bet on it, and I don't think those people would bet on it either. Zeka, young player, obviously showed up in a massive way at Worlds, was the story of Worlds. Really put a name out there for himself. A highly sought after free agent in both the LPL and LCK. So, why do I have Faker above Zeka? Well, Zeka I thought summer he did very well. Top 3 in the LCK. Did very well at Worlds, but I still think Faker. I'm not going to put Faker below Zeka after Worlds. If Zeka could continue this longevity of even a year of top 3 in the LCK mid laners, maybe we can start saying, Faker is not that anymore. Zeka has surpassed him, but right now, Zeka's number 2. Lava, BDD, and Fate are all very just blah to me. Lava with Fred Brion, Fate with Kwangdong. I was not impressed with either of them. I clearly felt that Zeka and Closer were much better than Lava and Fate when it came to those kind of mid laners that were just like in the middle to bottom tier of the LCK. BDD, a very old player, has been around the block, and it depends what you want with your team. If you're looking at this, you're saying to yourself, well, you could form a team like an older team like Keen, Peanut, BDD, Teddy, Life. You have an older team. You don't, or even Barrel for that matter, you have an older team. Or you go with players like Fate, Lava, Zeka, and Zeka's on another level, but Lava, Fate, and, have something going for you that way. Arya, I'm not a big fan of Arya. I thought Arya was very, very limited in the games he did play for KT. Vikla surpassed him, and I don't think Arya is even an LCK level mid laner anymore. As far as bot lane's concerned, technically, there are no openings in bot. Every bot lane has a player under contract. Every bot laner, not necessarily support. But does that mean there aren't openings? No, there are probably, in my opinion, 5 teams that will be looking to possibly upgrade. Gen G are not one of those, because at least the rumors are that they're going to go forward with pays. So if that's the case, then that's not an opening, right? Ruler, obviously the number 180 carry available. one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, depending on who you're talking to, in the conversation for one of the best of all time. Did not slow down last year, in my opinion. At Worlds, he did not do enough, in my opinion. But that was more of a Gen G problem in general. So, Ruler is going to be highly sought after. Prince is going to be highly sought after. Prince had a fabulous, fabulous summer. I did not really know who he was. I had Sandbox 9th going into summer, and they ended up proving, that Prince was the difference. And I find it really hard to believe that Sandbox would let Prince go, but he is rumored to be being looked at from not only Korea, but China as well. So Prince is going to be a big ticket item. Teddy and Deft, you're looking at two older players. Definitely, their better days are behind them, but there is value to them. Similar to BDD, Peanut, Keen, and the like. What does he do? What do they do? Teddy was stuck with two different supports last year. Deft obviously wins Worlds, and a lot of that had to do with Beryl. Beryl really did a fabulous job at Worlds with how he impacted the support position in the bot lane meta in general. Just absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not transcendent, but it was a trendsetter. Just like Doinby, you think of the Nautilus mid. Beryl did that with the Heimerdinger. Really just, they had no answer. Nobody had an answer for it. So, we'll get into that in a minute. So, Deft, if I'm Deft, I retire right now. I retire on top. I retire a champion because I think that this year Deft is going to really fall off. And, his legacy is his legacy, but your last glimpse of Deft might be where he's finishing 8th in the LCK, right? Depending on where he goes. Ghost and Henna, I wasn't impressed with either. I thought Nongshim just stunk in general. BDD and Ghost really laid an egg. Ghost, I can't blame Ghost so much because they used so many different supports. Nongshim had like 6 different supports under contract. But Ghost did not carry at all, in my opinion, really. Cheoni and Envy, I'm making sure I'm on the screen here because my cat just hit the cord that went from the light and the camera to the computer. Yep, my hand moved. So Cheoni, Envy both played a bit last year. I don't think either one are really ready for the LCK, but, maybe a team that doesn't have a lot of money picks them up to split time with another, CK level 80 carry, and they duke it out for some starts. Support, we have 1 opening and up to 3 teams that I could see using a support. Beryl, Lehens, Life, I think are all above the rest. Life, not quite at the level of Beryl and Lehens. I would put them both in conversation for top 5, definitely top 10 in the world. Going into the event, I would have had Lehens above Beryl. I actually did. Beryl, has some int to his game, but at Worlds, like I said, he just showed up in a massive, massive way, and that's going to result in some money in his pocket, and he's been to Worlds 3 times in a row. So somebody's going to try and add him to make that 4. Lehens, a very, very talented support. Any team's going to be happy to have him. I thought Life was great alongside Aiming. I would like them to stick together. I thought Aiming did a fabulous job for KT, but Life is a free agent. Delight, Effort, and Hoyt. Delight, Fredit Brian, I can't say enough. I'm not impressed with Fredit Brian at all. So it's hard to really get a gauge on what these players are like with the way they're playing. Effort was replaced multiple times with Nongshim by Snowflower, Peter, Blessing. There are others that I'm forgetting. Like, there was a ton of Nongshim supports. And Hoyt split time with Moham. I thought Hoyt and Moham both kind of stunk for the Freaks. Freaks were disappointing alongside Nongshim, so that is a thing. But that's it for my LCK free agency coverage. Tomorrow I'm going to go over the minor regions and all the teams. The minor region teams I go over are going to be the teams we've seen at international events. So if you are a Pain Gaming fan, Nasser Turkey, Sangoku Gaming, J-Team, I'm not going over your teams because they didn't go to Worlds. So the viewer base doesn't probably know who those players are. Obviously, We've seen some of them before, especially in the case of J Team and Payne. But with all due respect, it's recency thought processes with that. So that'll be tomorrow's video. Subscribe to the channel so you know when that video goes up. Like the video if you like it. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube member. $3 a month. You get a badge in the comment section. $10 a month. You get the badge plus extra content, including NFL, American football content. Like later, after this video is done, I'm going to record an NFL, American football video that goes up later today. So if that interests you, $10 tier. So thank you for watching and hope you come back for more content.